Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, where for us, it's just another date night where we record a podcast, grab some dinner, you take a bath. I mean, it's like clockwork.
Except we've moved our date nights. It used to be Wednesday nights, and now we haven't been able to make that happen, and it's Friday night again.
That's all right. If I get a date night with you, I'm good with it. We used to say, when Angie and I first started dating, we would have things that we had to do because we've got 6 kids, and so there might be something come up, and you feel like when you were first dating somebody, maybe that person wouldn't want to go do a certain activity, like go to a game or this, that, or the other that just you had to do as a parent. And so we used to always say to each other, "Am I with you?" And I always loved that. It always made me feel really good, like Angie wanted to spend time with me. And so for me, whether we're recording on a Wednesday night, a Friday night, or even a Saturday morning, I always think, am I with you? And anymore, based on life, it's definitely much different than when we met well over 5 years ago. I think to myself often, even in the bad days, am I with you? And that can be a change in perspective some days, I think.
Yeah, you had shared with me on Snapchat a memory, I think, probably popped up of like a selfie that I had sent you 4 years ago, maybe.
2021, January of 2021,
Yeah.
4 years.
And I made me tear up because I see the picture and what I say back to you, like, I don't even know who that is anymore.
Sure.
But again, we've talked about this before on this podcast, like when in doubt, zoom out, right? And changing your perspective when things are hard. I saw this quote the other day that was, your perspective will become your prison or your passport.
Yeah, that's good.
I go through moments, we all do in life, where your perspective is one way and then someone shares a different perspective with you and it becomes a passport, not a prison. So Aric wanted to know when I was going to send him the notes for the podcast, because I usually email them in advance. I'm like, you're not getting them today. It has been a crazy week.
Yeah.
I'm surprised
for both of us.
Sitting there. Yes, for both of us. I'm surprised we're even recording a podcast because it's been so crazy. Last week was really hard. Hallie's birthday and navigating all of that and emotions and heavy. This week was hectic.
Yeah, for sure.
It wasn't so heavy, but it was very hectic. So
before we dive in, I want to circle back real quick. You messaged me back and said, I don't even recognize that person. What did I say to you at that point? Because I think it's important.
Yeah, you responded and you were like, I love the old version of you and the new version of you, basically.
Yeah, I know both women. There's a woman who was completely different than the one I'm married to now. And one was much lighter and happier. And this one is much deeper and sadder. But I love both versions of you. I've done you and I both think more than we ever have, I would say. You were always a deep thinker, but you're even more of a deep thinker. I maybe didn't always go into things as much. And I've really spent a lot of time internalizing myself, getting to know, as you have said on the podcast, who I really am. And one thing I do know is I'm a man that really loves my family, and I'm a man that really loves you. And I have known that since I first met you. And so they say when you're going to be with somebody for 40, 50 years, you're going to be married to several different versions of that person. And so I am obviously married to a much different version of the woman that I met and married. And I wouldn't trade that. I'd trade the circumstances, right? I wish Hallie was with us and this wasn't the scenario. But you make me a better man no matter which version of yourself that you are. And consider myself lucky to be the man that gets to do this life with you, whether it was the previous version of you or the new version. So I just want to circle back on that since we don't have a real format for tonight.
Okay. Next time I'll make sure I send you the format.
No, I'm fine with it. I prefer the freelance.
Into date night. People don't want to be along on our date night.
Some people enjoy it when we're sweet to each other. I've heard that before. All right. So you were going to say.
I was going to say that sometimes we need people around us to change our perspective, right? To kind of give us that little nudge that maybe you could tweak that a little bit, or maybe here's a different lens that you could look through. And we both love sharing, like, a lot of the beauty, the pain, but also the beauty in the world. because I think that's a perspective. Like, as hard as this is, there is so much beauty in the world, beautiful minds, beautiful souls, and that give you that glimmer of hope and insight. But the thing is that you have to be willing to put your thoughts out there in order to gain a different perspective. Like, if you always stay in your head, you're not going to get that nudge or that glimmer or that light to shine through from other people. You're not giving people the opportunity to weigh in and maybe share a different version. You have to be willing to expose yourself, right? And we do that every week on this podcast. And when we select which clips to post on the social media, you're putting yourself out there. The goal is that people can connect with that, of like, I know what she's feeling. And maybe it's a voice for other people that have lost kiddos or grieving really hard. And there's a way that they can connect and not feel alone with that. But it's also risky, right? To be able to put yourself out there, be vulnerable. So I'm going to tell you a little story and take you on a little bit of a journey, because we have connected with so many people because of Hallie's story, which then
all over the world.
Enables us to receive love from strangers and let people not feel that they're alone. And people feel connected to us and to Hallie. And it's allowed me to gain a different perspective, or even just be able to sit in the pain with other people. So I say all that, and that because we have the podcast, because we have social media platform, people reach out on various things. They might comment on the post, or they might text me, separately, whatever. But I love hearing from people, and I love hearing people's perspective. So, we mentioned this week was hectic. I'm wrapping up the week, and honestly, being completely open, like super overwhelmed. It's Friday night. Aric, we share notes. Like, we'll invite each other to notes, like a list of things that we need to do on our iPhones, which is a great way to, like, if we need groceries, I'll add something to a note. It's shared note. He has it too.
I love it. Way better than a text where you're having to scroll through your text.
Yeah, what did
the shared
she tell
note
me she needed from
perfect.
the store?
Yes, love it.
And like our goals that we, have together, like all those things, we create a shared note for it. So he created a shared note for things that we want to get done this weekend. He had like 2 things on it. And I'm like, it's put like 20 things on there in like 10 seconds. Like, I am feeling overwhelmed because there's so much stuff that is on my plate that I need to do, want to do, from work, personal, all that. I haven't worked out in 3 days. And that is like making me crazy because I've had dinners and work and all that stuff. So
we're going to change that tomorrow. We're going to go to the gym.
We're going to get it done tomorrow. The weekend. Anyway, today.
For the record, I knew that you had a long list of things to do when I sent that, because just from our conversations the last couple of days, we've been apart with work. You had work out of town. I had work out of town. But this is also our first weekend alone in probably 6 to 8 weeks, where kids are other parents and we don't have something where kids are here. And so I'm very excited to spend the time with you. Now, what that used to would have meant for me was like, how can I make this like when we were first dating kind of thing, which is just not applicable right now. As we talked about, like, you're a different person, and I see that you are stressed out. And so I prayed about it a lot before I even, like, how can I let Angie know that I'm really looking forward to this weekend, but we can be these different versions of ourselves. And so for me, as I prayed about it, was like, I can try to help cross off whatever is on her list that I can, right? Like, I can't cross off your work things, but there are things that I can help you cross off. And yet we can still incorporate a few little fun things into the weekend as well, to try to help you feel better as you go into the week. So that's where my brain was, as I was like, I'm going to start this little shared note with like one thing on it, knowing that she's got a million things she wants to do. And that's kind of how that went.
So, yes,
she's never to do this again without an email. She's going to send me an email.
I'm learning my lesson. Anyway, today I get this text from a girl that follows us, listens to our podcast, and she's been texting with me off and on for a while. At Christmas time, she reached out and was like, hey, is there any way I could buy just one bird Snuggie, the Phoenix bird, from you for my daughter for Christmas. She has the book. She loves the book. So made that happen, dropped it off. But we just kind of text back and forth, and she has great insight in the moments that you need it. And so I'm going to share what she texted me today that I was like, okay, that is a different perspective.
Okay.
So here's the text.
Do you want to share her first name or not at all? Or
no, I'll share it at the end. I'll share her name, but I'm going to share it because it's some whole connection thing.
Got it.
So this is what she texted me. I watched a few of the clips from the recent podcast where you and Aric are both in tears. And at one point you mentioned no new memories are being made and people already know all the stories. Is it wrong that my first thought was there's definitely new memories being made with Hallie? All your rides and brushing and hugging with Phoenix is a new memory with Hallie. While it's not the same as when she was here, it's a memory that probably wouldn't have happened. And what about the photos and the banquets and the scholarship beneficiary, the kids in the classes that you've read the book to? Memory being made with Hallie. I didn't even know her, but Hallie flew in and was part of our Christmas morning, which is the Phoenix bird. A new memory. And her daughter loves feathers matter. And she said, I'm not intending to trivialize, and I don't know what it's like in your shoes, so I hope I didn't anger you, because that is a fear a lot of people have when they give you different perspective, right? I do think these are your new stories to tell. And I just shared back with her, like, thank you so much for sharing that insight. Like, you're right, and I needed that perspective. It's been a sucky week, and I need a little pick-me-up. And
it's beautiful,
just like,
by the way. That's beautiful.
I mean, so beautiful. So those are like the glimmers and the light that can shine in when you are vulnerable enough to share your struggles. And she's totally right. Totally right, because our kids wouldn't be at Helias probably. Like, there would be so many different things. We wouldn't have connected with all these moms. I wouldn't have started this Broken and Beautiful grief group just for moms and just all of the things. I wouldn't have written 2 children's books. I wouldn't have leaned so heavy into what all of this feels like. I wouldn't probably be writing as much as I am. And there's been so many signs from Hallie, and it is true. Like, those are new memories being made with her, even though her physical body's not here.
And I think that's a beautiful way to look at it, because more people know Hallie now than they ever did. And she always jokingly said to us, because I'm better than everyone. And I feel like she makes that a point all the time now. And from that regard, I guess it really does feel like new memories, because, I think back to us buying Hallie's house. So many of those memories wouldn't have happened if not for Hallie. I mean, she is present with us all the time, just maybe not the way we would like it to be. And at the end of the day, we are all, everybody listens to the podcast, everybody in our family, we are all going to pass away. It's just, it didn't go the way we would have wanted it to. So it's a beautiful perspective that I bet that really made you feel a lot of emotion today when you got that.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes me think of a Bible verse that I had heard years ago at the crossing. And while it doesn't apply to someone passing away, it does apply to all the hardships that we face in life. And it was Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. It says, therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us rid ourselves of every burden and sin that clings to us and persevere in running the race that lies before us. And this is our race that we are running. And some days it's easier than others. Some days it's much harder than others. But it's great to have the different perspective.
And I think that also, if you are alert, awake, connected, however you want to describe it, there's so many little signs and connection points. Like, there's no coincidences. That's just God being anonymous, right? But a couple months ago, I had a mom connect with me on social media that her sister had lost her daughter. So she lost her niece. Tragic car accident, 17 years old in California. I mean, just super tragic. And originally she reached out just like, how I don't know how to help her. I don't know how to show up for her. And I get asked that a lot. How do you show up? And I think it's so hard because you want to fix it and you can't. You don't know what to say. And, we've shared a plenty on this podcast around that aspect. But one of the things that she wanted to do was she loved the bear idea, where we had bears made out of Hallie's jeans. And every one of our kids has one. We have one. My parents have one. Like, they're just so special because they're like the perfect size and you just want to feel close to them. And she wanted to know if we had a pattern so that she could make that for her sister out of her niece's clothes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no pattern, but send us the stuff and we'll send us her clothes and we'll make the bears for you and send them back to you. She's just like, oh my gosh, that would be so awesome. So she just mailed it and I got it. And then I just gave the boxes to my mom, and my mom's starting to make them. And mom's like, I've got the box with their stuff, and there was sunflower seeds in there. It was so sweet.
That's sweet.
And I'm thinking in my mind that she knew Hallie loved sunflowers. That's why she sent sunflowers, right? And so I messaged the lady back, and I'm like, thank you, so much. She'd sent some money for my mom, even though we do this for free. Like, there's no money expected at all. We just, then if people do that, we pay it forward, and we don't take money. But I'm like, it's so sweet for you to put sunflowers in there. Like, that's what I'm thinking. She's like, oh my gosh, my niece loves sunflowers. Ugh. And we had them at her celebration of life. And actually, they didn't. What's interesting is I think she was the one that told me they didn't call it a celebration of life because they felt like she didn't live a long life, so they more honored her life that she lived. Which that's a different that's another perspective, right? Like, I get that too. And they mail them out and to different people to have them plant sunflowers, and they want you to take a picture and send the sunflowers back when they're growing. And I'm like, oh my God, like, she was also in FFA. Hallie was in FFA. And it's just like all these crazy little connections that never would have happened. So here's another connection. The girl, the 17-year-old that passed away tragically, his name's Abby. And the lady that texted me today to give me that different perspective in life, so name is Abby.
Oh my goodness. Chills. That's chills.
So
I didn't know this. Wow.
There's your weird little connections that we were all actually just part of this whole oddly connected world and journey together. So when I talk about stuff on the podcast, it's all things for me to hear too. Like, I'm always reminding me what I need to hear, and I need to hear that if you don't let people in, you're never going to gain another perspective. All you're going to have in your head is the story that you're telling yourself. And the story I was telling myself last week was, I'm never going to have any new memories made. And if you gain a passport by your perspective and not a prison, then it is all about zooming out and knowing that I have made a lot of memories with Hallie because of Hallie. And that's a beautiful thing. And both Abbies are incredible, beautiful souls. So,
wow, that is unbelievable.
That's my story for the day.
Except it is believable because, like you said earlier, coincidences are really just God being anonymous. So, God coincidences? No, I was trying to create a word. I don't think that worked. God coincidences. No, that one's out. Sometimes I try things out on the fly and they don't work, and that one didn't. But your story is incredible, and I'm glad that it was helpful for you today. So, Abby, thank you very much. And so I know that at the end of the day, these bears, they're going to be so loved because Alice does such a great job, and everybody that has them absolutely loves them. So, again, just a small world, but very, very cool story. And I still have goosebumps from you telling that a few minutes ago. So thank you for sharing and surprising me with that as well. I didn't know that had happened to you today. We've both been busy. I've been home about an hour. We're going to do a short episode today because we've been getting a little windy lately. That's I can only say that because I'm the one doing the editing, and I'm like, wow, these have gone from 30 to 35 minutes to a little bit longer. So we're gonna shorten up and tell this sweet story. We'll go ahead and throw it to you to however many things you want to be grateful for today.
Whew.
I know it's been a tough week, and so maybe you're not like, maybe it's one thing, but
I'm grateful for just friends and connections. Lady that I worked with that actually was my connection to join Worldwide 9 years ago. Actually, just got my anniversary card today. She's retiring, and just we laughed last time. We had a little get together, kind of the OGs, people that worked together originally, and we had some good laughs and good memories, and it always just reminds you of friendships are so important, to be surrounded by good people, like good souls. So I'm grateful for that, and grateful to have a weekend to spend with you. Those are two things I'm grateful for. I don't know.
Yeah,
I gotta
you're
get
right.
a different mindset.
I mean, as we kind of joked about earlier before I got home, like it's trying to figure out now how to like decompress your mind even for tonight, whether that's running out to grab some dinner or what. But I would just say I'm grateful. I'm actually grateful that my company, we had a sales retreat every year. And I'll be honest with you, there are definitely years where I really dread it. And I didn't this year. My perspective in life is just really different. And as I went into it, I had all kinds of, well, I've gone from being where I was 18 when I started this company, and now I'm almost 44. And somehow I've become the old man of the team. And it's recognizable. But at the same time, I had all these young people come in and they were like, you're like, I mean, I was recognized for my work at the start of the event, and I'm in a lot of our training videos. So I had all these young people coming over and being like, I just want to learn from you this week. And I felt like I actually had something to give them, because I don't feel like it's all about me. There wasn't a selfishness to my heart this last 24 hours, whereas I am not teaching you anything.
But before the 24 hours, it was.
No. In past sales retreats, I'll be honest, in past sales retreats, I'm not helping this kid. Probably not going to be here in 6 months. And that's a shame. I'm sorry to admit that. But again, I'm just being vulnerable in part of my heart change over the last several months, is that God's put me here to help other people. And that really is something that I'm trying to do more in 2025. And so I really did use the last 24 plus hours to spend time with these younger people and to talk to them and to answer their questions, and found out that I enjoyed it. Kind of like I enjoyed coaching the boys baseball team, with Dane this past summer. Maybe I do enjoy helping other people.
You're making this podcast longer.
I'm sorry, but I was grateful for the opportunity to spend with some young people and to help them. And then grateful for the kids. I've just spent different time reaching out to each one of them individually over the last couple of days, and just have some good interactions with them. And it is important that we stay connected with our kids. If you're letting somebody else, as Angie and I have said before, connect with your kids more than you are, then it's just a flip of the coin who they're going to attach themselves to. And you'd like that to be you as a parent. And then finally, I am super excited and grateful for time with Angie this weekend. We haven't had it in quite a while, and I've prayed over it. It would be just fruitful for us to connect and to deepen our relationship that, as we've been very open and honest about, has been in a transition over the last year. And so, yeah, I've prayed about the weekend a lot, and I'm very excited to spend it with you. Those are the things that I'm grateful for tonight. So with that being said, I know you're exhausted. Would you like to eat and start to chill?
Chill. Yes.
Okay. All right. So that is our plan. We always appreciate you guys listening. Please send your prayer requests this way. We would love to try to pray for you. We hope that you have a wonderful week, and God bless.